Hello everyone, I'm Sandra Gropey, and on today's Community Forum we're here with Dave Foley from the one and only Foley's Backstreet Grille. Thank you for coming, Dave.
My pleasure, thank you for having me.
Very exciting to have you here.
I don't know about that, we'll see.
We're glad to have you and talk about all the great things that you're doing in the local communities. So one of the things I thought would be great is if we talked about just a little bit about yourself and how you came about to start up Foley's Backstreet Grille in Stoughton. I know that you live in Canton.
That's correct.
You know, you grew up in Canton.
Grew up in Canton,
so
yes.
There's a lot of things that you do in that town as well, but you chose Stoughton as your adopted home.
I did. Well, I've been in the business for over 40 years, and I've been a chef at a variety of different places, and at one point I had the idea to open something local, and that dream kind of went by the wayside as I got older. It just didn't seem like it would happen, but I always had my eye on the location that I'm in now on Pearl Street. I drive by all the time, and when it was underutilized or totally shut down, I always thought that would be a great place, convenient to my house in Canton for one thing, but also because I knew the community of Stoughton as well, and I knew the area, and I thought it'd be a place where I could settle in and create something.
Yeah, that's great, and I live close by, so my family and I are there often.
That's good
great
for me.
Food. Yes, it is good for you, but it's great food. So I know that it's a very family-friendly restaurant. Right. And your family's involved quite a bit, and your wife Karen, Karen Foley. I know that she has a big part in the operations as well. Right. I know she's not here today, she couldn't be here, but tell us about the environment, because everyone that works there is always so happy.
Well, my idea always has been to create a business, especially in the restaurant business, where everybody wants to come to work.
Yeah.
And what we found is that most often people are looking for that. People don't want to just have a job, and especially in our situation, we're only open a short amount of hours a week, so it's a good part-time job. A lot of parents of young kids work for us, and that helps because the night hours for wait staff especially makes it easy for people to either work a day job or to take care of their kids in the daytime and be able to swap off with their husband at night, that kind of thing. So it's been conducive to that. And we just found that by taking care of people, they take care of us and they take care of our customers. So it's become a pretty much a second family for most of my employees. And they want to come to work, and a lot of times their kids come with them in the handoff to their spouse and things like that, which is always fun. So I get to see, I call them my pseudo grandkids.
That's cute.
So a lot of them, we've gotten very friendly with a lot of the young ones, which is fun. And we just added another one today. One of my chefs, Brian Murphy, had his second daughter this morning, so that's always fun. So it just extends our family a little bit more.
Oh, and congratulations to them.
That's
pretty
great. Cool. Yeah,
it's pretty cool stuff. Thing. Yeah. I know that I have two daughters, and they filled out applications when they were in, young, second, third grade, and said, this is where we want to go. And I actually, my oldest, who's now in seventh, in her memory book for fifth grade, what are your future aspirations? One was to work at Foley's Grille, so it was quite funny.
Well, I still have Morgan and Casey's applications,
Isn't
and
that
they're on the futures file.
That's so
and
funny.
When they're ready, I'm ready.
Yeah,
that's what I tell them.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And I know, with Karen, what does she do behind the scenes? What's her role?
Well, I always joke around. Karen has a real job, and she's a CFO of a plumbing company in Braintree. But since we've started, she's handled all the bill paying and the financial side of the business, so I can concentrate on the management of the day-to-day operations and the cooking and all that kind of stuff. So in the beginning, she spent some time helping with dining room management, things like that. But she's just too busy in her job to do any more. In fact, we've modified our relationship to the point where I'm doing more of the laundry and things around the house as her workload has increased. Just the two of us in the house now, so it works for both of us.
I know, it is just the two of you and the dogs.
Yeah, the dogs too.
And the dogs. But an interesting thing that I just recently learned about you guys is the catering component to it. And I know that in the past we've had a couple things, you know, when we had events at our house where we've ordered from you. But your catering piece has grown significantly.
Yes, yeah, it's become roughly 10 to 15% of our business, and it's largely through word of mouth. We advertise it obviously on our website and on our emails, things like that, but we don't outwardly pursue it just because we've got a lot going on at the restaurant at the same time. But we found that it's a nice niche, and since we're not open in the daytime, we were able to host daytime functions such as on the weekends, wedding and baby showers, and we've also, and it's both good and bad, we have grown to handle a number of post-funeral bereavement things, which it's not a something you look forward to doing, but on the other hand, we're offering a service, and people tend to like to come to us for that because we're local, convenient to most of the funeral homes in the area, Canton and Stoughton, and we give the opportunity for people to rent the entire restaurant for the time after their funeral, which makes it a little more comfortable, a little more casual than to use a large function hall, things like that.
Sure, sure. And I know that, you know, like you had mentioned earlier, there's the limited hours, but there are certain occasions where I know you're closed on Sundays and Mondays, and there are occasions when you do open up, like St. Patty's Day.
Right. Well, St. Patrick's Day, Mother's Day, events like that, if we didn't open, a lot of my regulars would come knocking at my door asking why.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's important to be available for those kind of holidays. We used to open on Easter, but we found that it's more of a family day for our staff, and I had trouble staffing it.
Yeah.
And that's the only challenge we have on a Sunday is gathering the troops to work, because they all like having their Sundays off and their family days. And even one of my waitresses that worked on St. Patrick's Day said both her daughters were sad that she was foregoing their Sunday excursions, and they were like, "Why are you working a Sunday?" You know, and she was like, "You know, I mean, they need me to work, and we can use the money, so it worked for both of us." But you know, we don't do it often. We do it when we think it's appropriate.
And you've been open. You guys have been running since October 2005, right?
Right.
So you've had years to iron out what days work, which ones don't.
Well, in the beginning, we were open 6 days a week, and we served lunch and dinner. And after a year or so, we realized that the lunch business wasn't enough to justify being open on a regular basis. So we modified it as we've gone. Originally, we went from the Tuesday through Sunday 12-hour day kind of operation. And on the weekends, we would open earlier in the day for a while, but that too wasn't conducive to remaining open. So now we do the 5 nights, which allows us to have some semblance of a life, which is important for all of my employees as well. And by being closed on a Sunday, everybody gets a family day.
Yeah.
All the families that normally weren't getting it, especially when it comes to the kitchen crew, because if you're open on Saturdays and Sundays, most of your primary cooking people have to work, and they've all got kids and grandkids, and in this day and age, it's harder to staff that.
Yeah.
And I don't miss it.
Yeah.
I never had Sundays off the first 35 years of my career.
Wow.
And so I would always work weekends.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a newfound thing compared to other people who, in other walks of life, who have weekends off all the time. They couldn't understand working weekends. And it's just what we do.
Well, and I think it's great just to bring back to like that whole family feel that you have there, because you take into account their situations and what, you know, works for the Foley's crew, the family, right?
Right, and that's important. I think, you know, quality of life is the biggest key I've learned, having come from the old days when everybody in my business worked 80 hours a week, 6 or 7 days a week. And it was all salary. You didn't make any extra money for doing that. And that was just expected. When I first started in the business, the restaurant owners kind of had the upper hand in that. That was what the job. And if you didn't want to do it, they'd find somebody else. The climate has changed.
Yeah.
quite a bit because people are less willing to do that. And I found that we've been successful kind of like moderating how we do things and not being afraid to change things to accommodate staff.
Yeah, I can say I've not, been part of, a type of restaurant or business environment where you come in and you feel like you're one of the crew, like it's very welcoming there. And what I'll ask is, like, what are, like, for running a restaurant, what's one of the difficulties or some of the difficulties in running a restaurant?
Well, in a situation when you're independent like we are, it's, if something goes wrong, it all falls on my lap in particular, which is I signed up for it. I get that, but if the sink springs a leak or the light bulbs need changing, it's me that's on the ladder changing the light bulbs. So it's a constant upkeep and it's a constant flow of different jobs that you never know what to expect every day, what's going to happen. And when a beer keg needs to be changed, I go change it. And when we find that there's a lot more going on behind the scenes than people realize.
Yeah. Customers
tend to forget that we open at 5 o'clock at night, but we're there at 10 in the morning to start preparing because we're not opening packages and serving frozen food and pre-fab stuff. Everything's...
You're making it.
Yeah, we make it all from scratch, all my own recipes. So there's a lot of that involved where the customer doesn't necessarily see it because they show up and they're there for that hour and a half to have their dinner, enjoy themselves, and they don't always understand what goes into the finished product.
Yeah, absolutely. Your chips are really good that you make, but everything's really good on the menu. I strongly suggest everyone try everything. But yeah, running a business isn't easy.
Right.
But
any business has its challenges, and I don't pretend that it's different for other. I just know what I know.
Yeah.
And because I do the cooking as well as the management side, that's different than a lot of restaurants. Most independents tend to be that way, though. You can't afford to hire assorted managers and delegate because your bottom line suffers.
Yep, that's
and
right.
It's a hard enough business to make money. My funniest take from all this is you can have a real busy day and people think that you're printing money, as I like to say.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, the restaurant business is one of the lowest profit margin businesses in the world.
No kidding.
Because when you bring in all the food costs and your electricity and your air conditioning in the summertime and heating in the winter and the water bills and all the insurance and things like that, the profit margin for your average restaurant is 3 to 5%. And some can be as fortunate as get to 10 to 12%, but that's rare because you have to charge really high dollars to get that kind of money. And we're in a working class neighborhood.
Yeah.
Where our customers are all people like you and I, who are just living the life, want to be able to go out and enjoy a good meal without breaking the bank.
Yeah.
And so we try to keep things within that realm. Try not to get too expensive. While still offering the best we can offer.
Yeah. Well, here's a question. So, talking about all that, how do you train your staff? Because you don't have high turnover, so you're able to retain your staff. Like, how do you do that? How do you manage that?
Well, it's the reason we retain everybody, I think, is because we treat them as well as we do.
Yeah.
And all my staff gets to eat at the end of their shift, and with very few restrictions, they all can. At the end of the night, we all can sit at the bar and rehash the day, the kind of thing, have a beer or two or have your dinner, and we hang out, and no one really rushes to go home unless they've got kids to put to bed or things like that. So that's kind of a fun thing we do. And when people start, a lot of our wait staff has never done it before, and a lot of what we do in the case of Morgan and Casey, they'll hopefully get to do this too. when they become bus girls and dishwashers, my dishwashers graduate into cooking roles as they get older. My bus girls, when they were old enough to start serving, we train them on the patio in the summertime to start waiting on tables. And we find that that's part of it too. They come home from college in the summer, and my daughter this year will be one of them. She's going back on the patio this summer as a part-time job, and she's working a day job as well to pay for college. And that's what it is. We offer opportunity to people, and the training is easy. I always tell everybody, the one requirement I have when I hire them is they have to be able to smile. If they can't smile, I can't use them, because if you can smile, you're welcoming, the thing you mentioned about welcoming people in.
Contagious, smiling.
Yeah, and I just tell them, smile your way through it. It's not brain surgery. We'll teach you the way we like to do things, and most everybody that works for me makes a good living off of tips if they're in the dining room, or off a salary if they're in the kitchen. But they learn a skill, and when I tell the young guys that start cooking, I say, this is something you go away to college, you can get a job anywhere on or off campus cooking, because there's restaurants everywhere, plus there's food service in the college. So the experience will come in handy.
Yeah, absolutely. And customer service, I think, goes a long way, because in life you deal with different issues, personalities. So learning that too is good for the younger kids.
I think the exposure to dealing with the public is great, because the public's hard. It's a challenge to keep everybody happy, and there's a challenge to manage your time and that sort of thing. And it's good skills that they're learning.
Yeah, and to manage that, to learn how to manage that is great. Now, earlier you mentioned that you would drive by that spot and you'd see it and you had your eye on it, right? Like, so there's spots in Canton, I know, but there was that one spot right there.
Right.
Like, why? Like, why Stoughton?
There's a lot of traffic on the street. I figured the exposure would be good. And then I knew the size was about the size restaurant I wanted. I didn't want anything too big, but I also didn't want anything too small. I wanted something that had easy access, which that does, suitable parking, and in my neighborhood, in a place where we could do charity work and work with the community and sponsor school things and do the kind of things we do, which has always been a goal of mine, is to give back to the community.
Now, something I learned about your restaurant a long time ago that I was surprised about, I want you to share, is how you got your name, but also your menu, on how you name things on your menu, like how that you came about to do that.
Well, I'm a big Bruce Springsteen fan, and my favorite song is Backstreet's. And I always thought of Pearl Street, Pleasant Street, Pearl Street, Canton, Stoughton, is the back way versus Route 138, which everybody travels. So I was thinking about names, and originally I came up with Backstreet Grille, and I didn't really want to put my name on it. But my dad convinced me, because we're from Canton, and a lot of people knew our family. I used to coach football and stuff in Canton. I ran Little League, things like that. He thought that I should have the name on it, so I reluctantly went along with that.
Cool.
So that's where the name came from. It has like kind of a dual message. And then the categories on the menu, I've named with Springsteen song titles, just because I found a connection where I could tie the menu in. And that's kind of fun, and Springsteen fans get it. Which I like Bruce Springsteen, but I didn't know him to that detail. So I think one night I said, why is this section named this? And then I kind of learned. And it's funny, because I always make people laugh, but I've seen him 78 times in concert. And he's the main guy that I go see. I'm a big music fan. I don't play, but I love music. Music's always playing in the kitchen. It's always on in my truck. I think it's important that people have things like that make them happy. And for me, I love going to live music shows. It could be anybody. We go to an awful lot of concerts, and I just find that if you have that kind of interest, it always plays well.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. And the menu's endless, and you have a lot of specials and a lot of things that are different. That I think when we had first come in here before we started recording, we were talking about all the different dishes and other,
Yeah, well, it's fun to try new things, and we play around with different things. I see the trends. I go to other restaurants and see things that are offered, and I wonder how I can translate it. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
Sometimes we come up with things we think are gonna sell like crazy, and we get nothing. We end up eating it all.
Yeah.
It's sometimes it's a crapshoot.
Yeah.
But it's fun to stretch out a little bit.
Well, it gives you that room to be creative and do what you like, which is cook, which is that passion that you have. You can tell.
And being the owner, I can do what I want.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell people. I said, my name's on the sign, I can do what I want.
Do what you want, yeah.
And we do. We have fun. And if one of my guys comes up with an idea, I say, sure. The worst thing that could happen is we eat it.
Right.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Right. Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm not sure if folks realize how much charity work that you do. Your family does.
It goes back to what we talked about the neighborhood and the people you're dealing with and giving back. And we always get involved with the local charities. If someone comes to me, I get solicited all the time for fundraisers for different people who have illness, or we'll get marathon runners who are running to raise money.
Oh, okay.
And I always try to get involved with those kind of things.
Well, so I know that I know that there's quite a bit that you do. You help out like a local elementary, the Wilkins Elementary School, where you've supported their spaghetti supper that they have fifth grade students serve that night, and you actually provide the meal.
Yeah, well, what we decided to do is we bring all the food in. I bring in a system with me, and the students do the serving. So we train them how to, how to wait on customers, and it's usually their own families, and they get to take the order, come to me, I give them, fulfill the order, then they bring it to the table, and they get to show some ownership of what we're doing, and it's a fun fundraiser. The kids have a blast. We enjoy it, and it's a good community kind of thing.
Yeah, but it's a very generous thing too. For you guys, it's appreciated in that community. I know that.
Well,
it's a very generous thing.
But the bottom line is that there's a need that we're filling. It's not going to put me out of business.
Yeah.
It's the kind of thing where we enjoy giving back, and it's a way that we integrate with the community. That's this way. It's not like we show up and serve the meal. The kids are all doing it, and the teachers and the parents are all supervising the kids and helping make the thing work. And it's just a fun time, and we get to meet a lot of adults and kids we wouldn't ordinarily get to meet, because I'm inside cooking usually.
Absolutely.
So it's a fun night for us. We always have a good time.
Yeah, and you said that you have a lot of people that come to solicit, some donations. Mm-hmm. How do you choose what you sponsor?
Well, it's funny. I one of the few disagreements I have with my wife on occasion is I always say yes. And we'll either donate a gift certificate or we'll do a sponsorship. Certain things I stay away from. I try not to get too involved in like the local sports leagues and things like that, because if I get involved with one, I got to sponsor all of them. Mm-hmm. But I prefer to do things more on the school side, more on the events where like there'll be like holiday fairs, things like that different church groups or temples, things like that, are putting out on things. When they get involved in that, I tend to sponsor those more. Mm-hmm. And we have an affiliation with the Pappas Rehabilitation Hospital in Canton, which is the focal point of most of our regular fundraising. We do 2 events a year. We do our 5K road race, which is coming up in May, and we do a golf tournament in the fall. And both of those events, all the money goes to the Pappas School.
Yeah, and that's great. And I know that my husband, I'm not very athletic in that way, but with the road race, and we've got some pictures that are showing up from the events that you've sponsored. You know, a lot of people go to those, and I know Keith, my husband, he ran one year when we were able to do it. And you guys also, you know, at the end of that, there's a lot going on where you provide food, there's tents and there's things. This is free to those people that are there. I mean, this is a big event, and you know, can you just explain a little more? I mean, you know, just looking at some of these pictures, there's Karen, I see her in a picture there, but you know, how did you get involved with like the Pappas School? Like, where did that come from? Like, you've raised a lot of money.
Well, we've raised over $100,000 over the last 5 years between the two events, and my connection with the school, excuse me, I've got a bit of a cough.
That's okay. Because your connection with the school is...
Growing up, my son had a friend of his who was a Paralympian and did his training at the school. And he passed away a few years ago, and we've always tried to have some particular target for if we're going to do these events. So we decided on the school, and the school was originally the Mass Hospital School, and that's where he did his training. And he grew up with my son, as I said, and he was one of my son's best friends. So what we do is kind of in a tribute to him, and the school's been around forever, and it's a state-funded school, and they're cutting the budget every year. So our money helps with a lot of the activities. These kids are all wheelchair bound with various degrees of limitations. They have a floor hockey team. They have a ski outing. They do different things with these kids with modified equipment, and the money we earn for them finances a lot of those kind of events.
Yeah, and you can see in some of the pictures that we have around those events, it shows some of the folks that they attend and they're watching, or they even partake in the race from the school. But also we have like Bank of Canton, like you had mentioned previously, like, you know, and that was one of the pictures where Bank of Canton provides the kettle corn popcorn, and they're there, and you have Violet the Clown, and there's all these different things, different areas.
Every year we try to expand it. We have local DJs. Gary Titus has done it in the past. Dave Solomini, another friend of mine, is a DJ. They'll come in and they'll play music during the whole event. We have we had the Canton Veterans Honor Guard presented the colors last year. We even had one student at the school play the national anthem with his feet on electric guitar.
Cut it out.
Which was pretty impressive.
Wow.
And that's what each year we try to add something, and we try to bring a few more wrinkles to it just to keep things fresh. We have Sam Adams donates some beer, I donate some beer, so after the runners are big beer drinkers, so there's beer available to the of-age runners. We cook hot dogs and hamburgers. Last year, I think it was 500 of each we cooked.
Wow.
For the runners and the spectators. We serve our homemade chips. We provide water and beer. We provide, as I said, as you mentioned, the kettle corn people are there. So there's a lot. We had face painting with Violet the Clown.
Yeah.
It just becomes a family event. Last year we added a fun run for the kids. That's going to continue this year, where they run a short course down by the barn and stables where they keep horses and animals at the school as part of the therapy for the kids. So the young ones will run that an hour or so before we run our main run.
Wow, and when that's coming up, right? So
it's usually the first Sunday of May. This year it's the 5th. And the race is at 12 o'clock. It's open to runners, walkers, people push strollers. It's competitive in the sense that people who care about their times will push to get a good time and try to win. But primarily, I'd say 80% of the people running are doing it for for the cause, doing it for the fun, doing it for the family day. So,
Yeah.
it attracts all sorts of
Yeah.
athletes and non-athletes.
Well, it's a great thing to bring the family together to do something healthy, athletic, and then also it's welcoming to all
Right.
different ages.
Right.
I know they have a little play area with swings and stuff
Right.
too in a
And
certain area.
we try to make it like, I refer to it as like a block party after the race.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and how can they sign up to do that?
Well, we have online registration. We have hard copies they can pick up at the restaurant and fill out. Excuse me. Most people tend to use the online. It's the quickest and easiest. We use a company that collates all that information for us, takes all the money, gets it all deposited. We look actively for sponsors. We have a lot of people get involved in sponsorship. The Prone Charitable Trust out of Stoughton, Steve Prone, has been wonderful to us. He always gets involved with the golf tournament and the road race, and he's been very good to us on that end. The Bank of Canton, Kramer Productions, the list goes on and on. We get sponsorships from companies large and small that kick in money. Republic Plumbing has been a huge sponsor for all our events. The Duggan family from Canton, friends of mine that I've known for years. I played football with Billy in high school. Matty Christian, the boy I mentioned earlier, that was my son's friend, was Billy's nephew. So there's a connection with them with the school as well. We've just found that over the years, we've attracted a lot of the people we wanted to attract. And it's not limited in any way to who we reach out to. It's just a matter of who feels touched enough to get involved.
Yeah, yeah. And so you mentioned the golf tournament, and then you have the road race. So it's two separate fundraisers that you do that go towards this one charitable contribution. And why did you choose a road race? And road race versus golf tournament? You like to golf?
Well, I don't like to golf, but I'm not good at it, so it's not much fun.
Well, sometimes you can't be good at it and you can still like it.
Well, no, we have more fun. The guys that I play with, we play in 4 events a year that I sponsor the team. We go to 4 charity golf tournaments a year, including my own, and we have more fun than anybody else.
Yeah.
Would never come close to winning, but we have a
That's
better
the fun
time
part.
than anybody. Right. It's not a serious sport for me. I enjoy it, but not in the sense that I compete.
Yeah.
It's just in the sense that I'm out with the guys on the golf course having fun. And but the road race started back before I bought the restaurant. I was the executive chef of the Corab Pub in West Roxbury. And in 1993, we started the Corab Classic 5K, which was a small local road race we started with 300 runners that they now get about 2,500. The race is still going. It's in its 25th year or more now, and they've raised millions of dollars. But that was a different kind of animal in that drew much larger crowds very quickly. And it's really runs itself. It's just a really big endeavor. I started that with one of the bartenders at the Corab who's still there, and a couple of our customers. We all got involved, and we've sent a lot of during those years. I was there for the first 13 years of it, and we raised a lot of money. Went to a lot of local charities in that area, so I knew how to do it.
Yeah.
So it just was a matter of getting to it. And it took us a while to figure it out, but then when we decided to do it, we were all in. And my wife, Karen, she's the backbone of that. She's the one keeping us organized, getting everything together, getting the sponsorship going. She makes all the contacts with the race management company and things like that. So we're at the point now where we only have 2 or 3 meetings leading up to the race, and it just
well-oiled machine.
do it at this point,
And how many, for this particular road race, how many years has this been?
This, I think, is our 7th.
Wow.
7th year. And we don't really draw a lot of runners, but we're right where we need to be.
It's I mean, even based on the pictures that we were seeing, I mean, it's
Yeah, we get a nice turnout, and it's a
you get a
lot of
really good
locals.
turnout.
And there's a lot of road races nowadays, every weekend. And someone told me when they saw our date, they told us about a race in Braintree that does, and I'm like, well,
right.
I said, first of all, our date doesn't change. They change their date. And then secondly, I felt like it doesn't matter which weekend we do it.
Right.
There's going to be
It's
a
all for a good
conflict
cause,
somewhere.
too, and it's
so
all-
the people who want to come to do our race will do our race.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, for folks that are seeing the pictures as they're on the screen throughout the show, different colored shirts for different years.
Right.
So the ones that haven't come out for this year yet, but
Right.
what color are they? Tell us.
I haven't decided yet. I'm still working on it.
All right.
But I changed the colors. We do two sets. One for the staff is one color, and then the runners all get a different
Yeah.
color. That way the staff sticks out in the crowd in case
Sure.
people have any questions or need help finding the starting line, finding where the Violet the Clown is.
Yep.
They're like tour guides.
Yeah.
And everybody, and usually it's mostly my staff and some members of the staff at the school that are all volunteer in that time. And it's important to me that we recognize them, because it's like I said, almost all my employees show up
Yeah.
either to volunteer or to run or walk, or then the runners and walkers come help volunteer. They come help put the food out, things like that.
It's dog friendly.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's a big thing.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people bring their dogs. I'm a big dog guy, so that's
Yeah.
okay with me.
They
And
run
then-
with them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and you can run with your dog. We also have a big award ceremony at the end where we have winners in every age group, and we like to recognize them, especially the kids. It's a lot of fun when we have the young kids, because in addition to the fun run, we also have like a 12 and under regular competitive section of the 5K. So we have, I think the first year I did it, a buddy of mine, his son won, which was kind of neat.
Yeah.
And I've got a friend of mine, Dr. Steve McNeil from Canton. A lot of his family members run. He's won like the Masters division. He's like my age, running against the old timers, and
Yeah.
he's really good.
That's
and,
great.
And one year I even had one of my cooks won the whole thing.
Really?
Yeah, finished first 2 years ago.
Wow.
And that was a lot of fun. And he didn't pull a Rosie Ruiz and didn't jump on a trolley and get off.
Go
He
halfway
ran the
through.
thing. He was actually a Stoughton trackster, Zach Ferrara, and he won the race 2 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which was kind of neat.
Wow. So we have some Stoughton roots winning.
Oh
winning
yeah,
the
yeah.
race
We have
there, too.
we're very well represented. A lot of Stoughton people, a lot of Canton people.
Yeah.
We get some from out of town. A lot of my wife's friends come from parts all over. She's a UMass alumni, so she'll put it out to all her alumni. And very often people make an hour ride in just to get
That's awesome.
get the people back together, which is fun.
Must be a reunion type thing too.
It is for
where they all
everybody, I
come.
think, and a lot of people really look at it as one of their kickoff events of the spring,
Yeah.
which is how we kind of planned it. So
Yeah. You know, I'm still gonna bug you on the color of the shirts here. So and you are gonna make them yourself.
yeah, right. Well, I have a company on the side. I do screen printing and embroidery, things like that. So by doing it myself, I can keep the costs down.
Yeah.
Which because we basically just charge cost for the things that we do. So that way it eliminates any further draw on the money we make. The goal here is to make as much money as we can, obviously, for the school. So we try to, when it comes to any of these events, we try to get as much sponsorship as we can, and we try to limit our costs wherever we can.
Sure.
The food, I donate all the food through my purveyors. If I can, sometimes I try to shake them down to donate some, but nowadays the companies get hit so hard, just like
Yeah.
I do, that it's hard for them to sponsor everything. So if I can get some contributions on that, it's great. We mentioned the Bank of Canton sponsoring the kettle corn people. That's a nice touch, because people are always walking around with bags of corns or bowls of my chips,
Yeah.
a hamburger in the other hand,
Yeah.
and they've got a bottle of water under their arm.
Yeah.
It's real cool. And in the courtyard at the school, there's a giant arch where we have our finish line. And right next to it, they built this covered pavilion with picnic tables, which is where we stage our post-race.
Yeah,
Everything's
it's
done
nice in there.
completely on the campus, which is fun because, that way we just get everybody in one place and we can feed them, do our ceremony. People can hang out for a while if they want, finish their beer, finish their sandwich, and we attract a lot of spectators. A lot of older people will come just to watch, which is fun as well.
Oh yeah, and I think it's a nice community event to be there in the action. It's so live and everyone's having fun, and when they're running in, the racers are coming in, you're standing there and kind of helping them get down the finish line. It's pretty cool.
Right. We end up at that last 100 feet or so of the finish line to the finish line is usually lined with family members and some of the students from the school in wheelchairs, and it's really a fun thing to be one of those runners coming up that hill.
Yeah, it's a treat too to I'm sure for them to be there and see it. Yeah, it's great. Now, we talked a lot about that, but on your golf tournament, when do you do that?
We do that generally September, October. I've been holding it the last couple of years at DW Fields Park in Brockton. They've been great to us over there. And the way I've arranged it is we do the golf tournament in the morning, and then the post-tournament dinner and everything is done back at the restaurant. This way too, again, we can limit the cost, because if you go to a full-service country club and you have the meal there and everything, it raises the cost of what we're doing, whereas by doing it myself, I can limit that.
Yeah.
So we, again, generate more money for the school. We have a giant raffle. I get a lot of cool prizes donated. We buy some. We do different things. Last year we had various coolers from the beer companies that were kind of cool. People love winning those. We did gift certificates to the restaurant. We had a Bluetooth turntable. We had just a lot of cool things, Red Sox tickets, Celtics tickets, whatever we can get our hands on as part of the raffle. Yeah. Which makes it attractive. People all get involved in that. We'll raise over $1,000 just on the raffle.
Wow, huh?
Yeah, which is good. It just, to me, is found money. It's just straight cash. Yeah. Straight cash to the charity, which is the name of the game. That's pretty
great. Yeah, and how many years have you been doing the golf tournament?
The golf tournament, I think, is 6 years.
Wow. So you guys have your hands full. I mean, this isn't the only charitable work you do. I know we mentioned like one thing in Stoughton that you do, but there's many. I've been to a lot of fundraisers where there's something donated by Foley's.
Well, that's the idea. I mean, we can't actively participate in everything, but we can be a part of it, and that's how we do it. If people ask me for gift certificates, we very rarely say no. Yeah. And then in addition, we try to pick certain events that we can kind of showcase what we do as well.
Sure. You know? Yeah, I mean, I think it's great. And I mean, I'm not good at golfing, but I do have fun when I go.
Well, that's the idea. And if the weather's nice, it's a nice day out on the course.
Yeah.
That what else can you ask for?
Good company, and you're going, you're having a good time. I think the raffles at the end are probably what you're working towards, so that's a good part too.
Right, and we have a good time, and we do it on a Monday, so the restaurant's closed.
Yeah.
We come back to the restaurant. Everyone has a nice meal. I put out a buffet of barbecue ribs and steak tips and shrimp scampi and whatever. We make all kinds of stuff. We put all kinds of appetizers. Nobody leaves hungry.
No.
And it's all part of the deal.
That's fantastic. You're making me hungry talking about this, because I do want to talk about some things on your menu at one point where we're gonna take a quick break just to go through the public service announcements. I think this is a good time.
Hi, this is Roy Cohen. The crew would like to thank Maxie's Delicatessen, located at 117 Sharon Street in Stoughton. You can reach them by calling 781-341-1662. The American Cancer Society is looking for volunteers to drive cancer patients to and from treatments. You can volunteer by calling 1-800-ACS-6662 or online at www.cancer.org. Ilsa Mark's Food Pantry and St. Anthony's Free Market is located at 2 Park Avenue in Stoughton. For more information, call Christine Gallagher. That's 781-341-0611 or 781-341-0549. To get involved with Meals on Wheels, call Jessica at 781-344-8882, extension 2. The Stoughton Penny Saver. Our business is advertising your business. They're located at 27 Rose Glen Street in Stoughton. To advertise, call 781-344-4833. Community Forum showtimes here in Stoughton. You can see it on Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays at 6 p.m., Monday at 8 p.m., Tuesday at 5 p.m., either on Comcast Channel 9 or Verizon Channel 28. If you have any comments or suggestions, contact us at communityforum1@yahoo.com. Samaritans, 41 West Street, 4th floor in Boston, Massachusetts, 02111, or call them at 617-536-2460. The 24-hour helplines, 877-870-HOPE or 877-870-4673. Samaritans, 800-252-TEEN or 800-252-8336, or online www.samaritanshope.org. For you bingo players, I want to tell you about the Monday Night Bingo being held at the Ahava Torah Congregation, 1179 Central Street in Stoughton. The doors open at 4:30 p.m. The games start at 6:30 p.m. You come on down and win some money. They have 2 big prizes. One is $1,199 and the other one is up to $3,000. So come on down.
And we have Stoughton's Lions Club annual golf tournament at Cedar Hill Golf Course. You can go to 1137 Park Street in Stoughton. It's going to be on Saturday, May 18th, 2019. And you can contact Walter Parsley at 781-408-1248 or WPARSHLEY@gmail.com. That's his email address. And again, we just want to give a shout out to our guest today, Foley's Backstreet Grille. They're located at 531 Pearl Street in Stoughton. Their number is 781-297-0100. They're open Tuesday to Fridays from 5 to 10 and Saturdays from 4 to 10. You can also check out their website. They got a lot of information on there. It's backstreetgrille.com, www.backstreetgrille.com, BACKSTREETGRILLE.com. You'll find some information about that on their website as well, about the upcoming road race, which is fantastic, the menu. What else do you have on your website?
Well, we had some pictures taken of the various food items, give people an idea of what we have to offer. We put all our fundraising information, things like that. Currently we have the road race information up there, some information contact concerning catering. And on the website, we have the regular menus as well as the catering menus, things like that. So this time of year with graduations coming and it's you start getting into wedding and baby showers, things like that. There's a lot of information there that people can contact us about catering. We do a lot of in-house stuff as well as off-site catering.
Yeah, so the sign-up sheets are on the site?
Yes, you can access everything through the website.
And you have a Facebook page?
Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff that I'm not real familiar with.
Me neither.
Being allergic to computers, I tend to struggle with all that stuff. But we do we try to get the messages out as efficiently as we can. In this day and age, people tend to spend more time on their smartphone than anywhere else. Yeah.
Well, okay, so I want to ask you a couple like off-the-cuff questions just, again, about the menu and the food because if you have not been to Foley's, the food is delicious.
Thank you.
Good home-cooked food.
Thank you.
Many friends of ours have come that have not been there and they want to go back.
That's great.
From other towns, which is great. What are some of the trends that you see in some of the dining habits of the patrons?
Well, it's interesting. You know, a lot of times we talk about this a lot. You read about how everyone's trying to eat healthy.
Yeah.
And all I can say is, I believe that people's intentions are there, and I believe they're doing that at home, but we sell more fried food than we've ever sold.
It's so good, though.
And we sell more red meat than we've ever sold. And I understand. If you're trying to be good, I would understand at home. But like I say, if you're going out to eat, you should order what you want to order.
That's right.
That's how I feel, and everything in moderation, like they say. So I've always been a proponent of that, and we have such a wide variety on our menu. If you want a nice salad or eat lighter that way, lots of chicken dishes, we do a lot of fresh vegetables, things like that. There's plenty to choose from, just a matter of what you feel like.
Oh, sure. I mean, like you said earlier, a lot from scratch. You have cornbread.
I make my own cornbread.
It's delicious.
Thank
so
you.
yeah, making me hungry. This is not a good time to be doing the show. It's close to lunchtime, but so you have your own cornbread. But there are some. So we talked about the menu, and we talked about how on the menu, each section is named after a Bruce Springsteen song. So we have that, but then you have all these things under there. Some are, named after some things in Stoughton, some in Canton, some sandwiches. Do you want to talk about a couple of those?
Yeah, when we first opened, we had the whole Canton Stoughton thing. And rather than act like it's adversarial, I said, let's have some fun with it. So we refer to our pastrami sandwich, where I use black pastrami, as the Black Knight.
Yeah.
And then, so I said, well, I have to give equal time to Canton. So I said, we'll call our burger the Bulldog Burger, strictly for just the name recognition. And we've had fun with it because people like the idea, and it kind of personalizes it a little bit. And then when it comes to things like dinner specials, whenever we come up with something new, I name it after somebody I know.
Yeah.
So I've got a shrimp Maryland dish I named after my late mother. And we've got the Karen salad on the menu.
Oh, so good.
We've got the Kerry special, which is named after my oldest daughter.
Yeah.
We've got Seafood Leah, which is named after my youngest daughter. And so we play around with things, just give it a little identity, give it to something. And very often, people who share the name will tell their friends I named it after them.
Oh, that's funny.
And that's okay.
Yeah. I don't see anything Sandra on there, but we're going to let that slide for today.
Well, we'll see. It depends on how well the interview is perceived. Then we'll go from there.
Yeah. Fantastic restaurant. I strongly suggest you go. So, can you? I tried you've got some dishes that have a little spin. And one of them is, I overlooked it so many times on your menu, which was the Karen salad, which is named after your wife, Karen. Can you just tell folks about that? What's in it?
Well, my wife likes salads, and so what I decided to do was I looked at some fun ingredients that would go together. So we put some cold pasta in the base, fresh greens, the obvious tomatoes and cucumbers and croutons and onions. And then we top it with craisins and nuts, toasted walnuts, and then we serve it with a homemade honey lemon vinaigrette, and we top it with grilled chicken. And it gives you a variety of flavors, a variety of textures. It's both hot and cold, and we find that it sells year round.
The pasta is what threw me for a loop, because I said, I have to try, what is this? I'm going to try it, and it was so good.
Well, it's kind of funny, people eat pasta salad, things like that, and I just felt that I'd seen it done occasionally, so we just decided we have the angel hair ready to go anyway.
Yeah.
So we just lay it on the bottom as a base, and it's fun. It's a little different, and some people order it without the pasta. That's okay.
Yeah.
Whatever floats your boat, is
what
what we tell them.
Oh, and it's good with the pasta. It's not Karen salad without the pasta, but it's just a regular salad in my opinion if it doesn't have it.
That's fine.
But you have so many other things that you've had as specials, like chicken and waffles. You have all these different appetizers that come on and off that people get excited about. But one thing that I always hear from people, even coming into the studio today, is your prime rib.
Yeah, well, we've had great success with the prime rib. That's something that everybody seems to look for. Excuse me. We run a English cut special on Wednesday nights, which is a smaller portion at a lower price, $15.99. On the weekends, we serve full-size prime rib and what we call a surf and prime, where you can get baked stuffed shrimp or grilled shrimp with a junior cut of prime rib.
Yeah.
And it's all been very popular. Last night we sold the prime rib out, which I generally don't like to do because I don't like to leave anybody disappointed. But it's hard to gauge.
Right.
You know, we're cooking 2 or 3 whole ribeyes for the night, and you don't know. Some weeks it's slow. I take the leftover prime rib and we shave it down into French dip sandwiches that we serve too, which are very popular. So we try to utilize all the byproducts, try to keep the costs down, but prime rib's expensive.
It is,
And
but
it's tough to make money on.
But there's a line for that, for sure.
Yeah, we sell a lot, so
yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things where you can't take it off the menu even if you wanted to.
Oh yeah, and your chowder. Let's just talk about the chowder for 1 quick second. It's delicious. So
Thank you.
that's your recipe?
Yes, I've been making it for about 35
Wow.
years, the same recipe. I've taken it with me through the years. It's kind of funny because if I go to a place I used to work, they generally are still serving
The chowder?
my chowder,
Oh,
which
that's
is
good.
kind of fun.
Yeah.
And we joke around about it. A friend of mine had a restaurant and he was serving it. And I happened to be in there eating one day when a customer said, "This is the best chowder I've ever had." And he turned and said, "Tell him it's his recipe." And I was sitting like 2 tables
That's
away.
fantastic.
And that was kind of fun. We had a good time with that.
Aw.
It's one of those things where in this, our locale, being in New England with fresh seafood everywhere, things like chowder are important to my menu.
Absolutely.
You know, the kind of things that I like to highlight.
And it's a great dish. I mean, the chowder's absolutely delicious. Amongst many things, your menu is quite extensive.
Thank you.
So there's lots of different things I could name, but we won't go there. I'll just have to go there for dinner tonight. But I do, we're wrapping up. I want to thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It was great. It was an honor to be invited.
Well, we thank you, and I also want to thank a big special thank you to Mike Hammond. Mike, thank you for putting everything together. You're awesome. Jeff Pickett, Dave Young, CJ Mullen, Roy Cohen, Gina Coe, and of course, Leo McGowan. We miss you. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.